Yeah, we're getting a backup up in a few minutes. There's no problem. We go.
Okay, here we are at the 6th Health Teaching Workshop with Mayran Kesh of the Kesh Foundation and Dr. Elia Kostova of the Spaceship Institute. And my name's Rick Cram, and I'll be your host to introduce things today. For this week's session, we'll be taking a journey through the body, and this time focusing on the structure of the lungs as the main topic. And Dr. Elia Kostova will give us a description of the lungs, and we'll have some close-up views of the pictures and so on, which are also available on the live stream feed. And so let's go to the Spaceship Institute now and talk with Mr. Kesh, who will introduce things, and along with Elia Kostova. Mr. Kesh, are you there?
Good afternoon if you are in Europe. Good day to you wherever you are. We usually start with Dr. Elia, the sessions. I don't know why he came to me this time first, but in a way, as we have announced to the people who know about this program today, we are going to explain a lot of things which has not been understood, but it's been in front of your eyes. Once Dr. Elia finishes her session, and once we explain the same situation as lung with the human body and the function of the lung in the body of the man, then I think a lot of people will leave this session with a lot of open eyes in what they've been missing. And on the other hand, I think it's time to bring the change in. And today Dr. Elia will explain everything, and then we will announce what is to change and what is ended and what is to start new. Dr. Elia, please enlighten us. I enjoy your enlightenment. We learn a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Hello to everyone. It's me, Elia, and for me it's pleasure to be with you in the 6th health workshop of the Keshe Foundation. Today the subject is lung, and actually we have 2 lungs, but they are connected to each other through the bronchial tubes, and the lung is placed in our thoracic cavity. Could you please just pause 4? I will wait for you just to reach the slide 4. The slide 4. This is 3rd, and the next one, Rick, please. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, thank you. So that is the slide which showed you where is the place of our lung. You see the rib cage, and inside of the rib cage we have 2 lungs connected with the bronchial tree. Actually, our respiratory system is started from our nose and partly mouth, then goes through the larynx, and then to the trachea, and then to 2 main bronchial tubes. And the place inside of the rib cage, we call the thorax, it's actually so important place because the pressure inside of our body is less than atmospheric pressure. Then the next slide, please. So the next slide gives you the short anatomy of lung. Actually, lung is placed inside, how I say it, in our rib cage. and also it's connected and lying up to diaphragm. Diaphragm separate the chest cavity and abdomen cavity. Actually, that flat muscle make different kind of cavity inside of our body, and difference is so important because these two cavities, they have different kind of pressure inside. So actually there are two lungs, they are lying up to diaphragm. They have not anatomically bridge between two lungs and diaphragm, just the lung lying up to diaphragm, and diaphragm support the movement of the lung. Two lungs, how I said, they are connected with bronchial tubes. Bronchial tubes, we have two main bronch, the left and right. They goes to the right part, which is our right lung, and to the left part, this is our left lung. The right lung is separated in three segments. This is upper, middle, and down. And the left one is separated of two segments. This is the upper and down. Actually, inside of these segments, we have a lot of sub-segments. This is regarding how the bronchial tubes is just spread to the end of the lung with different kind of capacity. That you'll see in the next slide. In that slide, you are able to see also the blue line, which is covered all the lungs. That the blue line showing you the pleura, which is the visceral pleura, is covered the lung like a skin outside of the lung, and other part of the pleura is the parietal pleura, is covering the rib cage inside. So in that case, we have some kind of cavity in between two pleuras, and inside of that cavity we have a little amount of liquid. Everything what now I show you, it's important to compare with the previous workshop from yesterday, what Mr. Kesh said about the importance of where is the place of the gas, CO2, and where is the place of the water. Just keep picture in mind, and then when we go slow down with other slides, you will get more clear understanding of the things. So
Right.
here we have a liquid outside of the lung, which is the purpose of that small amount of liquid, which is really so small, like teeny water skin around the lung, is because to not have rubbing between the lung and rib cage. Then we have also the liquid in between the different anatomically structure inside of the lung. Also, we have a slight amount of liquid in the bronchial tube because the cells which covered the bronchi inside endothelium is with some kind of ties, and that ties just they move. They have a kinetic force on the base, on the roots, and because of that, if we inspire something from our nose or from our mouth, and in case that piece goes through trachea and in the bronchi, with our coughing reflex, we are able just to throw out that piece out from bronchial tube. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide is give you how bronchial tube evolve during our embryonal stage to our adult stage. From the beginning, we start just with the main bronchial tubes, and then during the weeks, you see how they start to divert in the small capacity of the other bronchial tubes. We call in the medical language like bronchioli. And finally, when we born, we reached the small part of our lung. This is alveoli. Alveoli is actually the tissue of our lungs. And how you see on the right picture, what is the more schematic, you see how it looks like exactly like a tree. So the trachea is like a beginning of the tree, and then all the branches, and finally we reach the leaves. Leaves is our alveoli sac. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide is more visible for you. This is 3D model of the lung and bronchial tree. And how you see it looks like exactly like a tree. And if you remember from previous workshops, lung contained only smooth muscles inside of the bronchi of bronchial tube. They have ability to contract and to relax, but that function realized because of the smooth muscles. Okay,
Can you explain the muscles of the lung again, please?
Muscles of the lung, they contain only smooth muscle. It means the regulation is from emotional part of the brain. Inside of the bronchial tube, we have only smooth muscles. It's not skeletal muscles in the lung. And because of the smooth muscle and regulation, I will be show you the regulation of the breathing from in the next slides. But because of neural regulation, they have ability to contract and to relax. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide gives you the artery and venous system inside of lung. Actually, each bronchial branch goes in one go with the same artery and with the same vein and the same vessel from lymphatic system. And
Can you
how you
repeat that
see,
again, please?
every one bronch tube goes with company with artery, vein, and lymph vessel. How much the bronchial tree diverted to the end, that much the pulmonary artery diverted to the small branches, and that much the pulmonary veins diverted to the small branches to the end. They are equal number, equal directions, they go all together, because the main function of our lung is to exchange the air, to exchange the CO2 and oxygen and all the elements in air what we breathe to the system of our body. They have so specific membrane inside of the
I got it.
alveolar sac, what will be seen in the next slide. And because of that function of the lung, that
Got it.
organ needs to have air, needs to have a good vascularization. What is mean? To have vessel from artery part and to have vessel from vein part, and also from lymphatic system. Okay, then we go to the next slide. So next slide gives you actually the end of each bronchiole. So we come from terminal bronchiole and then we go to respiratory bronchiole. End of each respiratory bronchiole is alveolar sac. Alveolar sac is like a grape with so many small cavities inside. Everyone alveolar sac is covered of artery, how you see, and vein, wait, and the end artery is the capillaries and artery capillaries and venous capillaries, and they make a net and they cover each piece of our alveolar sac. That piece we call alveole. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide give you 3D model of alveolar
Six
sac.
side. Yeah, honeybee.
10 slide. And then you see how it is going from the beginning. Terminal bronchiole, then respiratory bronchiole, and then alveolar sac. In blue, this is the venous system. In red, this is artery system. And you see the green one is actually lymph. Okay. Inside of each alveole, the shape of the alveole is like a flower. Exactly the golden ratio symmetry inside of each alveole. Have a hole in the middle, what is exactly the place where the air goes in and goes out. And also each alveole is connected with each other with the different small holes, how you see on the leaves of this flower. The different so small holes in periphery of the alveole. That is the connection between different alveoles in each alveolar sac. Okay, on the right side where you have 3 pictures one by one, it is again 3D model of the alveolar sac, innervation, vascularization, and is showing how each alveole is just punctured with holes. It is because from that.
Okay, here we are. Just get my headphones punched in here. Here we are back at the health teaching workshop with the Kesh Foundation. And this is part 2, and we will be set up in just a second here to be able to broadcast once again. We had an interruption with the broadcast. I believe there was a major internet outage, and we'll just have to compensate. We may have to switch over to another channel or something as we go along here. Okay, just about ready now to go back to Elia, Dr. Elia Kostova at the Spaceship Institute, who will continue to inform us about the lungs, the structure of the lungs in the body. Okay, Elia, are you there?
And I will follow from the 10 or from 11. How you want?
Let's start from
Did you
11.
hear?
It happened as soon as you let off on 10. You just said to change
Okay,
slides.
but now on the live stream you show
Is
10 slide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rick, can you one more, please? Number 11.
Okay. So, and in that slide, I wanted to show you the mechanism of breathing of our lung. So how I told you, the main function of our lung is to exchange gases from air, go inside of the lungs, and from lung to our blood. And that exchanging of gases happen in our alveoles. Actually, each system which contained amount of different kind of sacs where they are so close to each other, and actually they have so small gap between them. There, for that system is so easy to stick and to collapse. That's why inside of our alveoles we have skinny film liquid, and we call that surfactant. Surfactant is that kind of substance which is allow the movement of alveole and the movement of alveolar sac to be free and to not collapse the wall of alveole to each other. And how to explain you more easy? Actually, the development and the development of our lungs is happen fully in the 8th and 9th month of embryology. It is like 1 month or 2 months before the deliver. If the baby deliver in advance, 2 months, actually inside of the lungs, baby doesn't have that substance. And with the first breath, just our lungs, they collapse because they don't have this superficial liquid tiny film which covered alveoles. And actually, surfactant decrease the attraction between water molecules. And because of that, he prevents the walls of alveoles from collapsing. If we don't have that chemical, our lungs, they are collapse immediately with first breath. And then what I say before, that was that how you see on the left side of picture, we have right lung, left lung. Then bottom is our diaphragm, which support the movement of the lungs and separate the cavity of chest and abdomen. I just repeat again. Our lungs, they are covered with visceral pleura, and the rib cage is covered with the parietal pleura, and actually in between them they have a cavity. That cavity, I repeat again, have a small amount of liquid, which the purpose of that liquid is to allow the movement of lung and to not rub the lung with the rib cage. The function of our lungs is happen in that way. It is like a mesh, is like a pump. We inhale the air and then we exhale the air. But because the pressure outside in atmosphere is more than the pressure inside of our rib cage, that function is really complicated and separate in different stage because our system need to set up all the function and to not collapse under the pressure of atmosphere. So what actually we do? The pressure of the outside air we call the atmospheric pressure. Air moves into and out of the lungs because of difference in pressure between the outside air and the air inside of lungs. The pressure of the inside the lungs is called intrapulmonary pressure. When the atmospheric pressure is equal to the intrapulmonary pressure, there is no airflow into and out of our lungs. When atmospheric pressure is higher than intrapulmonary pressure, then air will enter the lungs. It means we are breathe in, we inhale. When intrapulmonary pressure is higher than atmospheric pressure, then air will leave out our lungs. It means we are breathe out. We exhale. Okay. Important is to understand that inhalation and exhalation are possible because of the difference between atmospheric pressure and intrapulmonary pressure. If we don't have that difference between two pressures, our lungs, they will collapse or will be expand to the point they are not able to move. And actually in emergency, we are able to see a lot of cases like that. If someone pinch your chest area and then all the lungs, they are just collapse in the middle. Probably someone of you just get that disease. And how you see, our lungs, they are like a mesh, and they are moved because of the difference of the pressure. And also the movement is supported of movement of the rib cage and the movement of our diaphragm. How I told you before in the previous workshop, they work all together in one go. Just look the picture what is on the left side, on the bottom, showing you the movement of the rib cage, the diaphragm and the lung. When the first one is when we inhale. And when we inhale, the lungs expand, the diaphragm goes down, and the rib cage just expand and going little out and down. So our chest area becomes like a balloon. And when we're supposed to exhale, the diaphragm just make a contraction and goes up. Then the rib cage also, because in between each rib we have a muscles. These muscles, they contract and make the rib cage narrow, so the rib cage go inside. And in that case, all this outside mechanism like a rib cage and the diaphragm support exhalation of air. Then when you go to the right side of the pictures, this is more schematic view on the bottom picture. How when we increase the pressure, the air goes in our rib cage, in our chest, and when muscles of the diaphragm and the rib cage, they are contract, all that mesh in one go just contract with the position and direction to go in the middle, like inside, and pull out the air out. So in that way we exhale. And actually everything which is related with breathing is not only connected with our lungs. it is functional system, including the movement of the lungs itself, also the movement of the rib cage, the movement of diaphragm. Okay, then we go to the next picture. Next picture gives you different kind of pressure, what you have inside of the lungs, outside of the lungs, and how they change during our breathing when we are inhale and where we exhale. And how you see, they make a, how is in English, gradient difference between them. And because of that difference, like +3 in -4 in expiration and -3 and -6 during inspiration, because of that difference of the pressures, we breathe. Okay, on the left side, this is more medical view how in medicine measure different kind of volume of air inside of the lung. And because of that difference between the pressure out and in the lung, have a different kind of capacity of the lung. It's measured like a total volume of breathing and different capacity of the bronchial tree, because like I told you, bronchial tree contain the smooth muscles. There they have a contraction and relaxation function. Because of that, they make a resistance. That resistance we call the capacity of that bronchial tree. Because of that resistance, we have different residual volume of air. It means amount of air would just contain in your lung after you exhalation. The total volume is mean how much you are able to breathe in, how much your lung is able to inhale air. Then when you exhale, in your lung, they are not completely collapsed to each other. They still have air inside, and that is your residual volume. How much of all the air after exhalation just stay in your lungs. And this is really supposed to be there because that air also support the shape and the form of the lung. They are not able to collapse to each other and just to stick. Okay, then we go to the next picture. Next picture is, yeah? Okay. So can you hear me? Okay. So we go to the next picture. Next picture is more schematic picture, especially the first one. I just want to show you lung in the shape of a reactor. So on the bottom, this is the base of the lung. In the middle, this is the middle area of the lung, which is the zone 2. And the zone 1, this is the tip, apex of your lung. The bottom of your lung is lying of diaphragm. And the apex is really on the level of your shoulders. And it's important is to know that the base of the lung, they are more vascularized. the top of the lung, apex, inside they have more air. So in that sense, on the right side of that picture, where is written zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, is showing different kind of pressure. On the apex of the lung, you have more pressure of the air, what is the more than inside of the artery, more inside of the vein. When we go to the middle area, then pressure inside of the artery is more than the pressure in air and more than the pressure in vein. When we go to the base of the lung, in the zone 3, the pressure of the artery is more than the pressure of the venous system, more than the pressure in the lung. And in that sense, we see how in one lung we have different zones with different pressure and then make a gradient between them. In the pressure, what is the mean of is related with the concentration of gases in air in one side, in other side is in vessels, and they make gradient between the gases of air and in the membrane, what we call artery vein membrane. I hear you, yes.
Yes. We are switching over to the second since that we're getting hacked like before.
Okay, I will
We're getting
stop.
blocked in our heads. We're trying on the second one as we're working online, so it's just to move the line. Okay, you call it now, I guess, I think SSI is switching the calls.
Okay, we seem to have lost the
Okay.
Spaceship Institute there, so we'll just have to carry on. I think they'll reconnect in a different way.
Okay, I supposed to stop to wait or to follow?
I think you can continue, Elia.
Okay, so that shape of the lung is exactly showing you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are back on, you know where we are coming in now. You can
Okay.
close this. Okay, carry on, Elia.
Okay, make
Okay.
sure your microphone's off at Spaceship Institute when you're not talking, because it makes it more clear for Elia. Thank you.
Oh, that's a sign.
Now, okay, we'll restart that last part.
Okay. That shape of the lung just give you exactly the shape of.
Okay.
Okay. So I repeat again. The shape of the lung and the function inside is related to guarantee the different kind of pressure in each zone of the lung. And because of gradient of the pressure inside, we're able to exchange the gases from air and that gases to go in our circular system. So how I say, in the zone 1, we have the pressure of the gases more the pressure inside of the artery and more than inside of the venous system. Then when we go in the middle section of the lung, that is the zone 2, the pressure of the gases inside of the artery is more than the pressure of gases of the air and more than the pressure of gases in the venous system. When we go to the bottom section, this is zone 3, the pressure of gases inside of the artery is more than the pressure of gases inside of the venous system, more than the pressure in the air. In that sense, itself, lung make gradient of pressure of gases inside of the each lung. It's exactly the same model. It's repeated in each alveol sac. And I repeat again, we are able to breathe because we have a gradient, we have a difference between the pressure of the air and what is the outside and the pressure of the air what is the inside of our lung. Then we go in the same level in each lung. We separate the lung in the 3 zone because on that sense, in that way, the lung itself make the gradient of gases from apex to top. And the same picture is repeated in each alveol. So we have a repetitive model all over because the body have a purpose to make a gradient of gases which come from out and to go in. Okay, that in medical language of function of the lung we call the Boyle's law. So if you are familiar with Boyle's law, the Boyle's law is useful for each container. This is like a sac or like a lung or like a syringe. It means that as the volume of the container increases, the pressure of any gas or liquid inside that container will decrease. At first, the pressure of the air outside of the sac is equal to pressure of the air inside of the sac. So no air is moving out or in that sac. Then, if you pull down something like a pump inside, if you pull down, you are creating more volume, more space inside of the sac. Sac or lung, because lung is like a sac, is like a mesh. Any air inside of the sac has more room to move around and it is a lower pressure than the outside air. By increasing the volume inside the sac, you have decreased the pressure inside the sac. The air pressure inside the sac is now lower than atmospheric pressure, and air is sucked into the sac. Air will continue to be sucked into the sac until the air pressure inside of the sac is equal to atmospheric pressure. Okay, it is visible again on the picture what I'm showing you. So you start from the zone 3, zone 4, and to zone 1. In the same way, is repeated the same law. As you push up the plunger, or it is mean when you inhale the air, And because of contraction of the muscles of your bronchial tree and of your trachea, they work like a plunger into that sac, what is our lung, our mesh. We are decreasing the volume inside of the sac. The air molecules inside of the sac now have less room to move around, and the air pressure inside the sac is higher than the atmospheric pressure outside. By decreasing the volume inside the sac, you have increased the pressure inside the sac. Since the air pressure inside the sac is higher than atmospheric pressure, air will leave the sac, and then we are just exhale. Air will continue to move out of the sac until the air pressure inside the sac is equal to atmospheric pressure again. If the temperature of the gas does not change, Boyle law states that the pressure of given quality of gas is inversely proportional to its volume. This simply means that volume increases and pressure decreases. And if volume decreases, pressure increases. It is so important law to understand the dynamic of our breathing, because our lung is exactly like a mesh, is like a pump of exchanging the air from atmosphere and the air inside of our body. Okay, on the bottom of the slide you see the picture of regulation of our breathing. Our breathing regulates of the nucleus where they are in the pons and medulla oblongata. Actually, in so many medical books is mentioned that it happens because of emotional receptors. And how we know from the previous workshop, breathing and regulation of the lungs, because they have a smooth cells, muscle cells, they are related with emotional part of the brain. And actually, this is confirmation that our lungs regarding the plasma technology is regulated from emotional part of the brain, because they discover in traditional medicine that receptors, neuron receptors in lung, which goes through all the nervous system, parasympathicus and sympathicus, and reach the nucleus in medulla oblongata and pons, they are emotional connected. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide gives you a view how it happens, exchanging of gases on the level of the alveoli and the circulatory system. How you see here we have again the repetitive model of making the gradient between the amount of gases from one side to another. Because of that gradient, gases pass the barrier of alveoli and circulatory system. If we don't have that gradient of gases, it's not able to happen that transfer through that membrane. So in one side you see how the oxygen, which is actually 100 millimeter mercury in alveoli, just go through membrane of circulatory system and exchange in the same amount of carbon dioxide. So oxygen goes in the artery place, carbon dioxide go in the venous place. And oxygen exchange 100 to 40 millimeter mercury, and carbon dioxide exchange 46 to 40 millimeter mercury. So gradient in the gases exchange of the carbon dioxide is 6, and for the oxygen is 60 millimeter mercury. And then when blood oxygenated and reach each cells, the oxygen from oxygenated blood come inside of the cell, go through mitochondrium, and what is really happen there because of ATP, which is release the phosphorus, the phosphorus out and become ADP. We have a cell breathing, and from that action, cell release the carbon dioxide, which is go in the venous system. And how you see here, we don't have actually the gradient that much in the carbon dioxide. Why? Because if we have the cell is not able to pump it out in the venous system, just carbon dioxide go through osmosis in the venous system. Okay, and the next on your left side, you see how is actually happen. We have a alveol and bronchiole. Inside we have air. In that air we have oxygen, we have carbon dioxide and other gases. In that sense, in our blood, what is the blood? This is a liquid. Contains water, carbon dioxide, which is carry on the blood cells in our hemoglobin. Actually, hemoglobin molecule in our red blood cells, they connect oxygen, they connect carbon dioxide, and hemoglobin from our red blood cells, they exchange the oxygen through carbon dioxide and vice versa, regarding where these red cells are at the moment, in the lungs or in the cells area. Then when you go to the next slide, is visible again. From alveolus we take oxygen, from the blood we exchange water and carbon dioxide. And when we go to the body cells, from body cells through the membrane inside of the blood, we receive water and carbon dioxide like residual chemicals from our metabolism. And from red blood cells through hemoglobin, we release inside of the body cells oxygen. And then we go to the next slide. Next slide is your chemical view of that reaction. The chemical view is give you that chemioreceptors in your arteries monitor the carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion, and oxygen level in your blood and adjust the depth and rate of your breathing accordingly. Carbon dioxide is a waste product produced by all of our body cells as the metabolized glucose and other sugars for energy. So for one molecule carbon dioxide and one molecule water, you have one molecule carbonic acid. But carbonic acid is not stable at all, so she is able just to break down in two ways. In one way, she is able to break down again to water and to carbon dioxide, or to break down to bicarbonate and to hydrogen ion. It's regarding where that molecule is placed on that moment, in close to the lung to exchange the carbon dioxide or is close to the body itself. When you are at rest, the blood concentration of carbon dioxide, water, carbonic acid, bicarbonate, and hydrogen are fairly stable. So, in that chemical formula, you are able to see that the carbonic acid all the time breaking down on the left side or to the right side. It's regarding of that each one of gases is more high. If we have more high level or carbon dioxide, then the carbonic acid go to the right side to bicarbonate and hydrogen ion. If we have more the bicarbonates inside of our blood, so carbonic acid go to the left side to carbon dioxide and water. And actually, to breathe and to have a normal neuron regulation of breathing, it is not that level of oxygen just dragging the nucleus in the medulla or pons. What is the dragging the nucleus? What is irritating the nucleus inside of the brain is carbon dioxide. If we don't have a carbon dioxide, we will be slow down the breathing. And actually, if we are in the huge amount of oxygen, finally will be stopped. So the carbon dioxide is the main molecule, is the main gases which is dragging, irritating, cheesing the nucleus inside of the brain, and because of him we are breathing. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Next slide is showing you that to the moment we just spoke about the ion conjunction in capillary, the blood in the capillary net, which that net is go through lymphatic capillary, and actually through diapedesis through the wall they exchange chemicals from that capillary net, which is what have venous and artery part, exchange through diapedesine chemicals to lymphatic capillary. So actually lymphatic system accept only poor materials because the main function of lymphatic system is to feeding, is not to cleaning, and is to feeding. And that slide is visible it's visible to you to understand that with our blood we clean our system, and with lymphatic liquid we just feed our system. Okay, next slide. With that slide, I just want to show you and to point your attention with similarity of our body and what Mr. Kesh explained of the previous workshop. Our body have a lot of cavity. How you see, we have a cavity of the right lung, cavity of the left lung, cavity of our heart, which is green here in the middle, up to the heart in orange, this is mediastinum. Then we go through vertebral cavity and cranial cavity. There is actually, how to say, it is highway which is related and connected all the cavity in our body. Let me make attention to the chest area. Chest area have 1, 2, 3 main cavities. What is the right lung, left lung, our heart. If you see the picture of the previous workshop, which is drawn at Mr. Kesh, we have on the base 3 reactors where they are connected and they are lying on the superface. Okay, they are lying on some base. That base in our body is our diaphragm. So the left lung and the right lung and heart, they are lying of our diaphragm. So they have a base. Sorry. Then we have the fourth one reactor, which is really up to others. This is the cranium cavity. Cranium cavity is the other one reactor, which is connected with the first one, right lung, second, left, third, heart. On the up, we have one more reactor. This is the cranial cavity. Then Mr. Keshe explained that all of them, they are connected, and especially when we have connection between three of them, where they are on the base, and up, and that one which is on the top, this is the cranial cavity. Now, for us, they are connected to each other and make two-way connection. When he explained it, that the detector just measure the portio, the space between the reactor which is on top and between the reactor which is on base, and finally is connected with the Z, BZ, which is measurement of the measurement. BZ area is measured the space, as is our electromagnetic field what we made on that portio, on that space. So I just start to think, where is the place for human body? If you compare with what I show in the next slide with golden ratio and fractal geometry of our body, and how they and how Spaceship Institute make the arrangement of the star formation, and especially now with the small reactors of Farman, how they make it like Hughes pyramids and all the direction of the Hughes pyramids. I just put attention and make mind measurements and find out that actually in the middle of the base reactors, left, right lung, heart, and top brain, in the middle of that line is our thymus. So actually, if we represent the model of the star formation,
Congratulations.
Sorry?
I congratulate you. You understood.
Thank you,
it.
sir.
You
So
understood
if
it.
we measure the main space between the top reactor, for us cranium brain, and the base, this is our thymus. And actually everything what is converted energetic fields in our body is our thymus. And because of that, Mr. Kesh all the time explained that the main part of our body is main converter of the packages of energy is the thymus. Okay, then we go to the next slide. So the next slide, I just wanted to show you that in medicine is that kind of method we call MRI or scan. This is the method to visualize body. And actually, the meaning is to make the body on slides and to scan and to see. If you look at out the star formation from 4 generators, if you look at star formation like on top, from up to bottom, and if you look the MRI picture of the chest, you are able to see the same. You see on your left side, this is the left lung, right lung, and in the middle is the heart. Actually, this is your base of 3 reactors. Here, the number 1 of the reactor and the number, just 1 second to see the numbers of the reactor. So 4, whatever, you just name it. One, the reactor will be the left lung, other one will be the right lung, and other one will be the heart. So they are the 3 base reactors. Is look the same, and even they are placed in the same direction and the same proportion. If you see of MRI picture. And then on the top will be our brain. It will be the 4 reactor. Then we go to the next slide. With that next slide, I just wanted to show you the golden ratio in our body. And what is mean golden ratio? I know you know, just I wanted to show it again. And the golden ratio of Cheops pyramid. Yesterday during the workshop, someone asked when Mr. Kesh explained the space, what they measure between the space between the top reactor and the base reactor, how they measure the space in between, and they get the B8 measurement, what is the main point at the moment, and it was the 74 Tesla. And someone asked, this is the secret hole in the Cheops pyramid. I answered yes. And actually, I was correct when, again, I put my mind and found out that actually the 3 base reactors, if you compare with the Cheops pyramid, this is on the level of the queen hole. And actually, the king hole in the Cheops pyramid it is our thymus. So this is the space between the base reactors and the top. If you are able to organize the picture and to put together all the measurements of the body with golden ratio and the pyramid, they are matched. But it is so it is so many measurements in one picture, and if I show you to the workshop will be not visible. Just make that exercise, replace picture after pictures, and you'll be find out exactly how they match to each other. So that is for me. Thank you very much for attention. If someone have some questions.
Thank you very much, Elia.
Yeah, welcome. I just wanted to be clear. If something is not that understandable, please ask me. In that short way, I'm able to explain, because really the function of lung is so big, and like a theory is a huge amount of time I need to explain you everything in details. That's why I make just some summary with the basic things. If you have a question, I'll be happy to answer you.
Okay, is there anybody on the Skype call that would like to ask a question?
I think the anatomy was so hard for the stage guys.
Everybody is still in a state of shock, I guess. Could you maybe explain a little more about what you were just talking about with the, I'm sure Mr. Kesh will want to get into this too, so it might be a good segue. The connection between the thymus and the reactor configuration. I need to hear that again to refresh me what you were describing there.
No problem. So look the star formation of the reactors, and you found out the base 3 reactors, they lying in one platform. That platform is our diaphragm. These three reactors will be the left lung, right lung, and heart. And that way you have 4-1 on the top. And they actually represent all the directions and the measurement inside of the Cheops pyramid. If you measure the body and the ratio between the left-right lung, the heart, and the top, which is our head, our brain, this is the same measurement. And if you measure the distance between our brain and heart, in the middle where they put the detector to detect the space, it is our thymus. Actually, everything what is happening in our body, conversion of the energy packages, it's happen in the thymus. That's why Mr. Kesh said that important place in measurement in star formation is the space between the top reactor and the base, because there is this connection of all the fields. Because organ, the field of every one organ is like a torus. In star formation, each reactor has a torus, and these 4 torus, they are just cross each other in that middle point. Do you understand? So that middle point is converter of energy packages between 4 reactors, in our case between left lung, right lung, heart, and brain magnetic field. This is the cross point. So the cross point in body is thymus. The cross point in the star formation is actually the space between, this is the middle point of the space area between the top reactor and the base reactors. Do you understand? Also in the picture what he showed yesterday, when you have a reactor, and inside of the reactor, the first gas is like running around in chaotic way, and then the gas switched to the wall on peripheria, the gas of CO2, and the middle just is water. If you look at the bronchial tube, how I show you, this is the same. On the peripheria, we have a CO2, we have a gases. In the middle, we have a liquid state. If you want to see in the big picture, is like a lung. It is again, we have air in the bronchial tube, and all over we have a liquid state of the mediastinum, which is the liquid state of our blood and artery and vessels, and the lymphatic state. This is again a repetitive model. It's like a hologram. What above, that below. Do you understand? Rick? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Elia. That was helpful.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I guess we can segue into Mr. Kesh now, and he can give us some more details about what we're speaking about here, eh?
Yeah, okay, with pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
I cannot express, I was just saying offline that it's absolutely perfect what you've said, and you're one of the best students. Actually, I'd like to become your student. In a way, you teach us both sides about the physicality, and now you had the studies on the emotional part in the East, in ashrams, which you studied for a long time. And now you have brought the 2 sides together with this technology, and I congratulate you. And the way you put that picture together in regarding the 3 reactors is part of what I wrote to tell, but you have already done most of the job because you understood the totality. And I congratulate you in understanding it and being able to translate the knowledge from one language to another.
Thank you, sir.
You're quite welcome. That's why you become part of the Keshe Foundation for life. One of the things which I'm going to start from, and then most probably we end up with the same thing, and then we have a couple of very important announcements which will change the position of the Keshe Foundation totally. It'll be interesting to hear what happens after that. What I'm going to start from very much, as Elia has explained to us, the physicality and the physiology of the body and the lung. I try to explain things as usual from the plasmatic technology as a universal system. What we'll explain about the lung of the man is very much, is the only thing the man has common with the rest of the creation in the universe, a conversion system. And if you look at the body, which is divided to 3 sections, which is the upper part, which is lung and heart, and then you have the stomach, and then you've got the regeneration section, which is the bottom core. As we said from the beginning, the lung is part of the brain. And the proof of it is, scientifically, we see that the lung structure is of the smooth type. And if you look at it, even the structure of the lung and the brain is very, very much the same, added the neural system. That is all the nerves in the body of the man, because it's part of the same structure. As I said in the last week talk, if you sectionalize different part of the heart, you'll find out which part of the body, physical body and emotional partners they are responsible for, like the toes, as I explained. Now it's the same. If you divide the lung into different sections, then you understand which section of the lung is responsible for which part of the body, neural system, and which part of the body, production of material. So in a time coming, you'll understand that the whole structure, the shape, the position, and even the 3 sections which Dr. Elia explained, have responsibility for one thing. Lung is responsible to keep the neural system together. Something which is never understood, and even Dr. Elia passed and spoke about it, but it has never been understood by the world of medicine. And maybe for the first time we explain it in detail. Look at your brain.
Mr. Keshe?
Hello, yes?
Sorry, are you using your headset, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because it's not on the headset for the microphone, so it's hard to hear you. Could we get Armin or something to set that?
Let's see. We are on the backup system. Just let Armin is checking the headset. Where is your headset? Not a keyboard. We don't want a keyboard. We don't want a keyboard. We don't want a keyboard. Go backwards. Headset. Go to your Skype. Thank
Tools, options, audio.
Wait once. Armin is trying.
Oh, it's on a...
No. It's not there. Yeah, okay, go back.
No, it's here. It's here.
No. Can you hear us better? No. You have to go to the Skype. Close.
We don't have to do Skype. It's here.
No, Apple with iMac you have to go to Skype.
Okay,
Go
it's
to
Skype.
Skype. Okay. Where do you want to go to Skype? Skype. Not history.
Preferences.
No. Yeah. Doesn't have that. I don't see it.
Yep.
Contact Skype home. Yeah. No.
Yes. Nothing. Just system preferences.
System preferences.
Here goes. No. Go to understand. Wait, let me do it. I don't want to stop. Because I've been doing this. Okay, we are on a Skype. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And then audio, video. Yeah, done.
Automatically adjust microphone settings.
It says microphone, automatically adjust microphone setting. Logitech. Which one is it? Built-in microphone, Logitech.
Yeah.
Okay, we've done that now. Is it better?
Much better. Thank you.
Oh, bravo. Thank you, people from the earth. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go back if you can hear it better. What I was explaining just now, that is that if you look at the structure of the lung, which has no one in the world of medicine has ever considered such a thing, and it has to be done, is that look at the brain of the man. You have a left brain and you have a right brain. You have a left lung and you have a right lung. Each lung is responsible for 1/2 of the hemisphere of the brain. This is one thing which man has never understood. If you look at the structure of even the shape of the brain and the shape of the lung inside, the way it twists and turns and creates more or less the same kind of shape in physicality than the brain is done in gravitational magnetic form. So if the world of science ever understood this connection, they understand why you have two separate parts in the lung, which are working but feeding two parts. And then it goes to further understanding that in so many ways, if you take one lung out, the other lung can perform the job of the two, because then it compensates, but not as good as before. So maybe for the first time we can understand why the color of the lung is near enough to the brain too. Maybe we understand more that what is the work of the lung, because the lung is the only part of the human physical part of the body which is responsible for conversion of the energy from the environment to the conversion of the energy in the plasmatic magnetic field for consumption and the use by the brain and the neurosystem which is part of it. This is what we said from the beginning. This is what now, in a way, by doing the heart and the lung, we bring the totality of the emotional side of the body in connection to the physical part. Something which is very, very important. I think most of the doctors do not really grasp the whole idea of the working. Is that the parts which are connected to the emotional part and function of the emotional part of the body are kept separate. from the rest, because they work on a gravitational magnetic field which interacts with the gravitational magnetic field of the emotional part. That's why you understand, that's why I said in the last talk last week that the diaphragm on one side carries a different gravitational magnetic field on the heart side, on the lung side, than on the stomach side and intestine. So, in fact, the three sections of the body, the upper part is to do with the upper part of the brain, with the emotional part, and in so many ways the interaction of these is important for the function and the interaction only with the gravitational magnetic field, which is created and controlled by the emotional part of the body. So, in understanding this, then it becomes easy to understand the function of the lung. If you again look at the sections which Dr. Elliot told us, the upper part, the lower, the middle part, and the lower part, turn it upside down. You see the gravitational magnetic field, which is totally energetic and has got to do with the emotional part, sits on the top. And the upper part is responsible for conversion of the energy for a smaller part, but very effective, which is to do with what we call thalamus, which is the section 5 from the first time talked about the structure. So now you understand how even the lung construction and structure is the same to which part of the brain it feeds and it needs energy for. The bottom part is more connection, the bigger part is more connection with the bigger part of the brain, which is on the top, which is to do with the feeding of the information and energy into the whole structure and upper part of the physicality. Then, when you come down a step, half man, half beast is the heart. It's half emotional and half physical. So now it should be easy for scientists to understand the full structure of the lung. If you follow the structure which Dr. Elia showed us of all the veins and all the arteries in the lung, you'll find a magic point in the neural system. You find a matching point for it in the brain of the man, in the left or the right. And you understand why even the lungs and your nostrils work in different ways in the sequence. Then a lot of things in respect to the human structure becomes very clear. One of the most important thing which we see and we see in Dr. Elliot to refer to is regarding the inhaling and exhaling. Up to now, Dr. Elia explained to us that due to the pressure, different pressures, we get the lungs moving. They have to contract and expand. In fact, in the world of creation, no such a thing exists. The problem is in the world of medicine, in the world of biology, they have what they understood, they made the copies of it, and then say because we made a copy, we can show it physically, then it's correct. Yes, you made a copy of what you understand, but not the reality. The conversion and the reason that the lung expands and contracts, and the speed of interaction of its expansion and contraction is entirely due to the fact that, as Dr. Elia said, air comes in, you got a gans of CO2 or liquid water, and then you have the gans of CO2 which converts the material. This is exactly what you are doing in the containers in the lab. Air touches in contact with the water, right? Salt condition, because the salt of the lung is totally different, but is very, very similar to the salt of the brain. If the scientists ever could understand the composition of the salt of the brain, they will understand the salt condition of the lung is exactly the same, near enough to it. So now what happens? The energy which comes in conversion as air to convert to cross the liquid of the whole lung, which created by lung itself due to the interaction. Even the nitrogen converts into the gans of the nitrogen. It changes its configuration, as you have seen in the CO2. You have the container, the gas of CO2 comes and it changes into gans of CO2. And then when you are a gans state, then the conversion zone in coming in touch with the same as your electrodes, which is nano-coated in the labs you've done, the energy of gas is converted to the nano layer of the lung, and then the energy is transferred. And what happens as the energy is transferred in the capacitor of the lung, structural wall which is smooth, then any surplus energy as a capacitor, it charges and discharges. So the expansion and the contraction of the lung has nothing to do with the pressure inside and outside. It's to do with capacitance. Somebody has got a microphone open. We hear a lot of chairs crackling.
Yeah,
So what happens is that your lung, by interaction of the air,
Okay, please hold on. If Mr. Kesh can hear us, they should be back. It's just calling them back right now. So please be patient.
Thank you, Vince, for that little announcement. Having some difficulties with internet connections tonight. I suspect, I was told that the
This is a
internet went down.
worldwide, though.
A worldwide phenomenon. Oh, great. I heard it was only Canada and the US, but
Well, Spain was included in there too. So I think it might have hit Italy. I don't know.
Quite possibly.
But they're on the cell service, so it could be just a cell phone service there. Yeah, see there you go.
It could be time to turn the reactors down a notch at their Spaceship Institute, perhaps.
Or maybe turn them up.
Up or down, one or the other. In between just doesn't work.
So did we lose the SSI connection, and that's why they went to Armin's?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
So Ludmill's off now. No, Ludmill's back. I see. Okay. I'm going to cut the sound to the live stream for a couple of minutes here until we get this sorted out. So please.
Or if Elia's there, maybe she can input some more information with what Mr. Ketz was just stating about the salt water in the lung and and also the brain. Can she make that correlation as well?
Or she could tell jokes or sing a song. That would be fine as well.
So he mean that the liquid inside of the brain and inside of the lung have different kind of concentration of salts and minerals. What is actually, when he speak about the salt, is mean different kind of minerals inside, concentration of different kind of minerals. Each liquid in our body have different kind of pH and also different kind of elements inside. When we say liquid, it's or water, it's the meaning of liquid. And what SSI made in laboratory and make in laboratory, that water, what they call water, is as liquid contain different kind of elements inside. And that's why he said it is more similar like a chemical structure, like a chemical contain of elements like a brain. That is the meaning. And actually it's important to know that I mentioned it in the previous workshop. We call oxygen, we call ferrum, we call zinc like a molecule, but actually in energy type, in energy packages, they are different. You have different kind of elements like energy packages of oxygen in different part of your body. This is not one type. And like Mr. Kesh said, when you breathe oxygen from different type of trees. There are different type of energy packages, like oxygen from a rose. It's one type oxygen. Oxygen from a pine tree is different type of oxygen. This is the same thing in our body. In bones we have different type of oxygen or zinc or ferrum or cuprum. In the muscles you have different type of the same elements. You are able to imagine and to make some kind clear picture in your mind, like isotopes. In the material level, different elements have different type and we call isotopes of something. In the same way, in energy level, you imagine the type of element like isotope of that element that he mentioned all the time. And because of that, he said that in the cells, when you produce the CO2, it is more um, close consistation like a liquid inside of brain. Inside of brain, you have liquid in ventriculus. There are stomach, different kind of stomach inside of your brain, and there is the spinal liquid. Also have a chemical structure, also have a pressure inside. And if you notice it in the picture one where I explained it you about the cranium cavity, the cavity where the place our brain, and then goes the cavity of spinal cord. This is again the cavity, empty place, and they're just lying down the spinal cord. So we have different measurements of volume and pressure in each cavity, which also make a gradient between all the cavities in our body. So we have the pressure and volume inside of the cranial cavity, and then with some kind of gradient goes through the cavity of spinal cord, which is placed through all the spine. Then we have a cavity of our chest. This is the cavity of left lung, right lung, heart, and the cavity of mediastinum. And then we go the cavity of abdomen and the cavity of pelvic area. Each of these cavities have different kind of pressure and volume inside and make a gradient. And if you see the picture of cavity, then you are able to recognize why we speak about the different kind of reactors in our body. Like we have main reactor like our brain, then the second one in chest area, and then other one in the pelvic area. But actually, if you look each part itself, like today we speak about the chest, we have again the repetitive model, like we have 3 reactors inside our chest, which is connected with the main one, our brain. When we go to the abdomen area, you'll be see again that repetitive model, like we have the star formation inside of star formation, inside of star formation, like hologram, repetitive model. And if you aware about acupuncture, meridians, and chakras, it's representing the same way repetitive model, small with the small one, with the small one, with the small one, which represent the main body in one finger or the main body in one phalanx, or you are able to represent all the body through one limb, or you represent one meridian of your body just in finger. All everything in our body is hologram. Also in traditional medicine they use hologramic method in different kind of how is in English, to make body visible, like a scan, like MRI. And they are really good in that area of traditional medicine, because even they discover now the 5D and the modeling of the body and visibility of the body starts to be more understandable and good for us, for medical doctors, because now we are able just to see details and to see inside, even with laser microscopy and with electronic microscopy. We're able to investigate all the parts in each cells, and again to find out the repetitive model inside. So really the visibility in medicine in medicine starts to be so advanced, what is makes me really happy, because it's more easy now to understand how nature made our bodies and how everything repeats itself. If you have some questions to me up to the moment to wait SSI to connect again, it's no problem. I'm here to answer you.
There is a couple of questions from the Skype chat there from
Okay.
from Amarak.
Mhm.
He asks, why is it such a problem with COPD? That's, I believe, obstructive pulmonary disease, right? Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Can the
Yeah.
enlargement of the tissue not be reversed?
It is not only enlargement of the tissue. This disease have several stages, and it is not only enlargement of the tissue, how you call, and actually enlargement of the tissue contains several components. Actually, during that disease, you make difficulty to breathe, because contraction of the bronch muscles, they starts to be more often. And if you remember, when we speak about the structure of the muscle, when they reach the point more than 2 microns, actin myosin sliding mechanism is just not able to work. And the beginning of that disease, we have more often contraction of the bronch, because the nervous system is irritated. And because of that contraction, the endothelium, this is the mucus inside of the bronch, starts to be more thick, because the wall of the bronch contain the muscle tissue, contain the endothelium tissue, and connective tissue inside. This is all the structure of the wall of the bronch. And first part, we have hypertrophy, we call in medical language, of the muscle tissue. because muscles starts to work more and more. And next stage, the endothelium, which have different kind of cells inside. I mean, like endothelium and also muscle cells and also secretive cells, starts to produce more liquid, but that liquid is with not normal viscosity, starts to be more thick and actually stick to tail of the cells. Cells in the endothelium of bronchi, I told you, have a tail. They are moving, and this tail just stuck to each other, and the movement just slowing down to the point to stop. And that mucus, which produce inside of the bronch, are not able to be through mouth or to coughing and to go up and to go out, just stuck inside of the bronch. And actually, when the disease just go ahead, the breathing of that part of the lung just stop it because of that sticky mucus and because of enlargement and of the wall, which is become more wide. That bronch completely collapse, and the alveolar sac and the area around that bronch just stops to work, and you don't have oxygenation from that part, and just the blood flow through the capillary artery side and venous side just stopping, like you are in the, how is in English, this is not sea, but where the water is stopped to move is so sticky. I don't know how is in English that word. Okay, however, just the blood is stopping to move and you don't have oxygenation, and that part just collect only metabolic substance for your metabolism, like full of CO2. Do you understand?
Sorry, I think the word you're looking for might be stagnation, stagnant blood.
Yeah,
It's not moving.
yeah, it is not moving, just stasa,
Static,
static. Yeah,
static,
static. It
right?
is not
Stagnant,
moving.
static.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so and then, and how to say, if the disease evolve more, just more area of the lungs become in the static state, and because of that, if you want to treat that disease, you first have to change the chemical substance of that sticky mucus, because the main point and the what is damaged the breathing is that sticky mucus, which is starts to produce from the endothelium from wall, and then to cover the normal contraction and relaxation of the wall of the bronch. Actually, with plasma technology is not hard to remove, really, because it is like a question of changing or 2 or 3 chemicals in that area, and they goes, and itself lungs starts to produce normal mucus and normal movement of the wall, and that area, how is in English, starts to work again. Do you understand?
Would it be true that you need to remove the source of irritation as well, which might be certain jobs with dust particles or heavy air
If you,
pollution
yeah,
or
if you
smoking or
have
things?
irritation, yes. If you have irritation, but it's not ever the cause of copious irritation. Sometimes it's part of the age, sometimes is part because you have from the beginning, other one disease of connective tissue also. It is not only cause of the cough is some kind of irritation.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, welcome.
I'm starting to look pretty scary inside.
You don't want to get down to the nano level, eh, Ludmill?
Not even on regular level, I don't like it.
Okay, well, there's another question from Amarak here, which is, what happens when the thymus was damaged, for example, by open surgery?
It is so often when you have surgery of your chest, because in medicine they believe that to the poverty you need the thymus for your development, and after that you don't need it actually, and the thymus is just going to involution itself, like all the lymph nodes in your mouth, like tonsils. But actually it's not like that. And when they open your chest, it's so often they remove your thymus because they believe this is not useful. It's something like your appendix. But they don't put attention that appendix is itself is tonsils, lymph tonsils. Again, this is the lymph node. Okay, so regarding the plasma technology, the thymus, you are able to build it, to make a reactor with a characteristic of thymus, and just to replace on your chest and to work like a thymus. And I believe that the thymus will be regenerate itself with that method, because when you cure cancer, in cancer research, the one of so many things what you use like devices is to replace artificial thymus on your chest. Am I clear?
Yes, I think so. I think that came through quite clear.
Okay.
So, are there any other questions from anyone in the Skype call there?
I just read one question, but I answered in the live stream. I will say here again. Someone asked that if we are able to replace oxygen, like a chemical from our blood, with some other element, especially when we travel like a human being in space. So oxygen for us is magnet. Oxygen make a flow. Oxygen how to say, make a shapes in our body. Oxygen is like protector of everything of our body. It's like a ferrum on the earth, attract elements. Oxygen just go, make a direction, and other elements go after him. And we are made it to use magnet oxygen. We are not able to replace with other element, because our structure, our body, our chemicals of our structure is made to work with oxygen. And because of that, we need to take oxygen from air, because we convert like a magnetic field in our body and use it to be magnet for us, to make a directions for other elements, to transform them to some place, to store them in place, to collect them in place. It is like a vector force. And when Mr. Kesh teaches us how to understand the elements, like chemical formulas, it is not that you put attention, that is the oxygen, that is the CO2, that is the hydrogen. Each element regarding plasma technology have a meaning. It's like he said, the hydrogen is a supplier, the carbon is his finger point to DNA, your physical part, and the carbon is making a shapes, constructions of our body. Because of that is the finger point to DNA, to your physical part. Oxygen is as magnetic. He make a flow, he make a direction. This is the vector force. If you compare with alternative medicine, it is like a yang force, make a vector, make a directions, trace the way for other elements, show them where to go. And he mentioned it also in the previous workshop that the phosphor is the finger point for RNA and make there the connection. So he just read the elements with them meaning. What is the meaning of that element for the structure of our body? It's when he reads one chemical formula, it becomes like a poem. This is like sentence. And actually he is able to describe the chemical formula like he read some book and tell you, is this go there, it happens like that, it happens like that. So actually, I think it's better to make one workshop about the periodic table and understanding regarding the plasma technology of each element, because they're not, for the plasma technology, each element have a meaning. It's not that because it's zincum, it's because zincum do something. And what is really do. And because of the function of zincum, you are able to find the zinc in different kind of place of your body. So for me is that. Yeah, it's completely like a Rumi poetry. If you know, if you know the Persian Rumi author, this is actually is like that. Yeah, yeah, Sufi author. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rick, I think that whole conversation you just said was not on live stream.
Okay, let me just give that again. Sorry, I didn't have my microphone on the live stream at that point. But what I was doing was describing about this formula that's on the screen at live stream now, the carbon dioxide, water, carbonic acid, and so on, and how Mr. Kesh um, has a way of describing the elements in these formulas on a plasmatic level. I was just saying my training is more in chemistry, and it makes sense on a chemical basis, and the balance of the elements and the charges and all that kind of thing. But the language that Mr. Kesh uses in regards to the elements that are involved, you know, the carbon, the oxygen, the hydrogen, and so on. It's like Elliot was describing. They have different meanings on the plasma level. It made the formulas apparently look different, or it's a different visualization of how the interactions occur. And so what I've discovered through the small amount I know about that is that on the plasmatic level, it gives you a greater overview of the situation. It's an interaction between the fields of these particles, well, not particles, of these plasmas, rather than the more hard shell approach of ordinary science, where these spheres are sort of bouncing up against each other and interacting in certain ways with their valence layers of, you know, electrons and so on. So I think it would be great if we can get this going, and the next health workshop is Mr. Kesh could show us on paper how his poetic way of describing the interactions, the plasma interactions, are to him. And that would be great, Elias. So I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, and also I suggest to everyone, if you have some idea about different kind of subject of the workshop, you need explanation of some subject, or you don't understand something, just write on the email Health Kiev. So after the point you mention it, will be prepared and will explain, because everyone have different knowledge, different understanding, and finally to the end we have to become at one. So no one from us are able to guess what you have in mind. So please just write the email. We read all the emails. I try to answer to everyone, and will be prepared the workshop regarding your question or regarding the subject we are mentioning it. And so like that. So feel free to just write and ask, and finally every one of us to reach the same level of understanding. I hope so, to be soon. Some other questions?
So just a moment here, Elia. It looks like Armin's back online. So I'm just going to try to bring him in here and see if we can get that connection back together.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello sir.
Mr. Kesh.
Where did we lose you?
Whoa, we've been all around the world since you guys left.
When did we leave?
Where did they leave now? It's about maybe 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, something like that.
Why don't we stay on the live stream? We can't see. When did you hear? What did you hear? Why don't we see the live stream? Because we usually get the response on the live stream.
The live stream should be working now.
Yeah, ours is not. Okay, tell us what you heard and we try to go back.
Can anybody recall what the last things Mr. Kesh was talking about? We were, where was it there? We're talking about the relationship between the lungs and the brain, I believe, and the...
It stopped in the pressure difference between inside and outside air.
Okay, that's a long time ago.
Long time ago, yes.
long time ago. Okay, now we go back because we have this problem. We have this problem here. We try to sort it out now. Okay, no problem. we go back to what we talked about, lung pressure. As I explained, that the pressure in the lung has nothing to do. What I'm going to do, Rick, we have a recording of this here. I'm going to stop it and then, or we send it to you. You can choose to put it on or not, but it doesn't matter. So what happens? The pressure between the lung, it's got nothing to do with what they tell us, internal or external. The change in the pressure in the lung has got to do with the charges which the air transfers through the water, through the liquid, into making the gans of the matter which is in the air, which is nitrogen, and it transfers itself the wall of the lung to become the capacitor. And then it discharges, and as it discharges, charges up and discharges, it creates the contraction of the lung and opening and closing of the lung. What we're going to do, because I think I don't know which part we have been over and which part we haven't been over, to go over again. We send you a copy of this piece, you can add to it, because in a way, I don't know which part you heard. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back on this in a way to explain that in the body of the man, the contraction and expansion of the heart and the contraction and expansion of the lung is done totally through the same process. There is no difference. And the contraction of the lung creates its own gravitational magnetic field. The contraction and expansion of the lung on the right creates its own gravitational magnetic field. And a contraction of the heart creates its own magnetic gravitational field. And these three are exactly equal to each other. So your balance is completed. The base core set is equal to same. What is important to understand is that the interaction of the three field forces in conjunction with the interaction of the field force of brain, as Dr. Elia explained, has a pyramid point, a center point of focus, which in the body of the man has become the place of thymus. At the same time, the contraction and expansion of the lung and the heart synchronize to the point that they dictate the contraction and motion of the diaphragm. The motion of diaphragm dictates the motion of the of the limbs within the body of the man. And the gravitational magnetic field, which is created by thymus, which is the balance between the physicality and emotional part, interacts with the neural system of the intestine. Because the neuron system of the intestine is a copy of the neuron system within the emotional part and physical part of the body of the man. The lung or the heart have different functions. Lung is made of the smooth cells, so it belongs to the emotional part. The heart is conversion and interaction between the emotional neurosystem and the physical part of the neurosystem, which is you have, as we see, using the blood circulation for the feed. Then you understand that thymus is the center core between the four reactors. And the reason, and it has a function in that position, is to interact its gravitational magnetic field with the neuron system of the digestion, the physical part of the body. which is to do with the lymph. So that's why for the first time maybe doctors can understand why intestine has a matching neuron system as the brain. Because very much so, as in our reactors, where we put the 4 cores together and we have an imaginary space in the middle, that field interacts with gravitational magnetic field of the Earth to find its position, because it's of the same receptors, the same strength of things that have to interact. Now the gravitational magnetic field of the thymus, because it's neuron based and partially physical based, with the heart connection between the skeleton and the soft tissues of the soft muscles, interact with the matter part, which is the intestine. Then you understand very easily why thymus is the controller of solidification and how much to be digested and to be solidified around the body in what shape and form. So the heartbeat, the motion of the heart in conjunction with the motion of the contraction of the lung creates and uses the upper diaphragm like a pumping fan, like a bellow. It pushes the physical part, whatever comes out of the stomach or the intestine, as an energy, but the instruction of what to release or absorb from the food to be stored or to be used immediately is released by the thymus gland through not neural connection but through gravitational magnetic field connection. Then it becomes very clear, as I was explaining that you haven't heard, that now we understand why we put fat on certain part of the body in respect to the emotion of our state of mind. Then you understand why you have certain cancers associated with certain parts according to the emotional part. Because when the top principal reactor creates a different field, thymus releases different kind of energy as emotional part. And that part interacts with the physical part, which is soft, but at the same time has a connection with the physicality. Then you understand why you get, as I was explaining, why you get a cancer of prostate and why you get a cancer of breast. Because the emotional part is in pain with the son, which is supposed to produce a copy of the father, to pass on the genes of a man. When you have emotional with the son, he was created through the channels of the prostate. He was passed through when it came to be mixed to be in the right composition. When you don't like something, you get rid of it. So what does a father do? Emotionally creates the fields which physically transfers into the physical part of the body through the limbs and through the emotion and the neural system, and then you end up with a prostate cancer. Or creates a material to block the passage, we call it a cancer. That no more material can go through, that I cannot make another person like this to hurt me and to harm me. This is the relationship between the creator and the created, closing the channel of communication. But when it's with the created, in respect to creator, you see the breast of the mother and the cancer with the daughter in the left breast. Where if the mother has emotionally abused the daughter, then the daughter does not want to create another being to suffer like her. She puts an end to it. So emotionally, using the physical part, She blocks the source of life which cannot feed another child, which is the breast of the woman. And she creates that environment that we see ends up with a condition of converting calcium, which is the nourishment of the mother, of the child when it's born, to a solid state of matter in conjunction with this field which comes from the thymus, and then infections and cancer. Then you understand the process of creation. And you understand why the body keeps the lung in upper cavity, upper core, which is to do with its existence. Then you understand why we have cancers in different parts according to our emotion and the rate of our breathing. In reality, doctors should just make a measurement for the amount of air which is absorbed and the emotional condition. It can tell you where the cancer is going to be. So, in the long run, you do not need to produce a system. As I said with the pharmaceuticals, they make a huge mistake. They always go for making for physical part repair or the emotional part repair. We have tablets for physiology, for the physical part, and we have tablets for emotional part. These systems will never work. This is a failure of the pharmaceuticals. Because you have to make a system, a tablet, a process that touches both at the same time equal. Then you find out a lot of cancers will not exist, a lot of conditions will not exist, which is to do with the physical structure of the body, not through intrusion. You get cancers through operation because you change the physiology. That's nothing to do with the mental, psychological, and the physical part which the body controls itself. So, one of the things to understand in the future, all doctors have to understand that they have to use for any diseases which is not externally connected, a process which touches both the emotional and the physical. You have a cancer. Cancer, if it's not a tumor, then you can handle it through the air and the food. Air to control the emotion, food to control the physicality. Why we see tumors and why we see cancers. Why we see sometimes tumors become cancerous. Tumors mostly are created due to changes in physicality, which is to do with outside. Cancers come from, even though they show to be the same lump, from the position of the interaction of the emotional with the physical part. If you can control the emotional part, you can surely change the strength of the thymus field, and then you change the physical part. This is why some people say, as I said before, I drank carrot and my prostate cancer disappeared. No. Go and find out when you eating the carrot gave you the pleasure the child gave you when you were feeding him when he was a child, the son. And the pleasure that giving carrot juice to him or carrot as a food to him gave you to prove you, I have done a good thing. I have created this beautiful creature. And then you find out the gravitational magnetic field in conjunction with a what you call a B12, which is cesium or cobalt radiation, creates a slightly different strength field, because the emotional field from the brain has affected the thymus, has affected the rate of breathing and the heart condition, absorption of the energy from his environment. And then that field does not support a tumor, does not support a new solidification. And then you're saying my cancer changed because of I had a carrot juice. Go into the emotion of it, what that said, that it changed. What changed your breathing? that it changed. That it changed the strength of the field which is released by thymus. And then the only thing you need to do, you reach the emotional part through thymus. Now you need to reach the physical part, which is the lymph. The body will absorb different materials through the intestine, because now the gravitational magnetic field from the thymus through the changes in breathing has changed. It does not absorb, support the material which is can go through the bone structure to become the immune system, or at the same time for the lymph approaches and absorbs different energy that when it comes to the thymus does not support solidification at this level. It's very much what we said. You cannot tune at 99. You tune at 99.1 or 99.5. Now, with balancing the emotion, you go back again to 99. No cancer tomorrow. This is why in all the systems we produce, all the support system, there is not a single system ever left Keshe Foundation in the health support section processing without a breathing system. And if you are a doctor, if you are a physician, doesn't matter to do with the man physical part on this planet, or you come across another creature in the universe, which you will come, is part of the eventuality, or because you are blind to it, but we see who you are and what they are on this planet. You find the absorption, the emotion, what gives and what takes. And then you find out physicians do not need to work so hard. The technology we developed to do with the health side is freely available to pharmaceuticals. The same as how we did with our patents with the key. Our systems are freely available for them to be able to develop the next stage. Today we make an announcement. As I said, this hasn't recorded, now we tell you again, is that today we announce a major course of change and breakthrough for the Keshe Foundation. As number of the Keshe Foundation people around the core know, we are about to announce this change today. It's been planned, it's been written, and it's to come. So, when you look at the operation of the lung, understand how you breathe, where you breathe, to what extent you breathe affects your race, your color, your understanding and your emotion, your religion, your interaction, your behavior. I want to make an animal out of you. In one of my systems, I can just change a combination and a calm man becomes like an animal eating everything up. And if I want to bring peace and tranquility, the way it's the plan of the Keshe Foundation, you find most of the people who've been through our process, they find peace within themselves. Because through the breathing system, we reach the peace of mind, acceptance of what it is, and pleasure in what it is. I put the camera on because you can see, can you put a camera on here, please? It is on, but we don't see, okay. If you come to Keshe Foundation, can we see a bigger picture that I can see what I'm showing? If you click on the picture, maybe it comes more. No, don't block it. No, just click it to become bigger. This is it. Okay, because I don't see what I will be shown. Okay, no problem. If you've been with the Keshe Foundation. Okay, what it is, because Marco, can we see the picture in a bigger scale? Because we need to enlarge it, or we see what we are seeing.
Vince can, close his video.
No, that's got nothing to do with Vince. We just got to see our own picture bigger. It's okay, we'll try to see. What, can you see this bottle? Rick?
Yep.
We see the bottom of it there, yep.
You see the top of it now?
Yeah, you can move it a little lower in the screen.
Lower this way.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
That's okay. Now we got it.
Yeah,
If you look at this, you
perfect.
can see the bottle. These are the this is one of the original breathing systems which we made for emotional part. We became so good at it that I can make you even change your menstruation. I was explaining this to the knowledge seekers today. One, it breathes in and the other one breathes out. Or you pump the air from the environment from one channel and you breathe it through the other channel. It brings so much change that we had women in their late 60s and 70s going back to menstruation, which they lost 20, 30 years ago. Because it even gives the confidence that I can reproduce and my life will be forever, so I can still carry on extending the life. Through these systems we can reach, and now we become more sophisticated, and we can show and we can develop, and we have developed in a much more effective way, that in ILS we can reach the man who even he wished to die, we can reverse the position through the breathing of the air system. So you do not go, the water which you drink with our technology is to do with your physical part repair. The air you breathe, the air you breathe is, the air you breathe is the, we're going out, we're going to go back down that way. Or we come this way, you see it better. This is an old picture, it's too far behind. It's already perfect. Okay, we go back where we were. So now you understand the technology which we are transferring knowledge to you now because of Dr. Elia, and going to different parts. It has been practiced for past 10 plus years in the foundation. And the people tell us this is all just magnets and blah blah. If it is magnet, we know how to play with magnets. If it's gravitational magnetic field, we know how to play with gravitational magnetic field. This is so important. I wrote an email to people who got to do with the defense technology today. I told the knowledge seekers, tell the national securities to watch this program, this session, because we're going to reveal something to you that it might shock a lot of nations. I said to you from the beginning, if you've seen this system and you've seen the people who have changed in the Keshe Foundation, we can produce, and in other programs recently in past 2-3 weeks, I keep on saying, directly speaking to the national securities. Through this technology, through creating of the plasmatic gravitational magnetic field, through understanding of the air you breathe, as I said, you do not need to use a missile to kill 10 or 20. You can reach the whole lot in one go, that they don't even remember where they are going, why they're carrying a bomb in their hand or a gun. Now you understand how. With the air, with the condition of the plasmatic, of the condition of the air they breathe, they don't even know what they're fighting anymore. What are they fighting for anymore? We said the world peace is our target and we achieve it. Now we start showing the tools of how we can achieve it. And it's been so in front of you that you don't even realize it. It's very much like the light that I explained to you has been with the knowledge seekers in front of them from the day they came. They never noticed what was the lamp hanging in front of them. Through breath of the air, you affect the emotion And each emotion has a specific gravitational magnetic field absorption from the air through the lung. If you are a man who hates the Jews more than your own life, I can make you to fall in love with them that you cannot live without them. If you are a Christian who wants to see the end of Islam, I can make you while breathing air that you cannot live without a Muslim. If you are a Buddhist and you see Christianity as a threat, I can make you to open the temples to the Christianity to make all of you to accept Christianity. Just by the air, if you understood just the past 2 hours of talk. If you understand, man has a weak channel, and for us from outside, it's perfect thing because you're so weak you don't see it. It's through the air you breathe and the channel which affects your emotion, and then your behavior becomes part of your life. So, look, I was explaining this to the knowledge seekers this morning. You want to stop the war in Middle East? We can do in 1 second. Something all of you watched and you went stupid some and some understood and they asked for a pulse. The system we showed yesterday and you watched it live and you said, oh, it was 26, was it 42? It's gone to 74. These are pulses. This is the most powerful harp we have ever shown out of nothing. And I've seen it, I've shown you. Would you like my harp to be the tool of war, that everybody kills each other, or everybody loves each other, and Rothschilds hate having money? And because we have put the system out, now all of you are copying it. It's not me that I can be destroyed anymore. You have watched it, and now you have 2 choices. Choose the path of peace, or we show you how you can all destroy each other. Through the air you breathe, and no more. Your air is the path to your emotion. And your lungs are created for that job. You can destroy each other, or we can let you and give you the tool to destroy each other totally and wipe each other out. Now the knowledge is there. The terrorists have it as much as the governments. The Iranians have it as much as the Americans and the Chinese. There is no path left. I told you, we know what to do and where to push. A lot of you looked at the past 48 hours live stream looking for numbers. The ones who understood, we showed you the power of the technology on impulses. We can create a strength specifically because these pulses reaches every magnetic field on this planet. You want to start eating each other up? Very easy. I know the frequency, as you call it. You want to fall in love and don't make a single gun? You can do it so. So the process is very simple. The process is very simple, and we know how we can reach all of you. You can walk into our lab and change your menstruation, and you can walk in the lab and never want to give a child. I know the whole process. The point is, the weakness with a man is need to breathe. And through lungs and breath, we can control your physicality, your emotion, and your behavior. My call goes to the world leaders. Play our game of peace, or we can bring you to your knees. Not by us. Soon, you'll find out the conflicts will go to the extremes, and there is one solution: to put the guns down. Accept each other's thoughts, accept each other's equality of knowledge, And then we can walk in peace. And I don't need to do it. You all have built enough reactors, and now you understand the process of the lung. I brought you step by step forward for today. Today is the end of Christianity, is the end of Islam, is the end of Buddhists and the rest. Today is the time of unity and oneness. And we can enforce it because you all know how to do it. This is the end of the term for the Pope, is the term of all the Imams and Ayatollahs. If you do not work as one, because you all know how to do it. I made something very simple prepared for you to understand. You want to see the effect of this technology? This is a glass of water. This you understand fully what we're going to do. If you can see the water, I try to make the table very, very clear for you. And this is another glass of water. Can you see both glasses, Rick? Clearly? This glass of water is at normal. I can put a cube of sugar in it, if you can see it. It's sitting there. I brought you hot water, or a plasma of a pulse that's 72. And I can put the same lump of sugar in it. In no time, it's dissolved. The sugar is the body of the man. And the field is what we can create in the reactor. There will be no sign of you left in the physical structure if I use the 72 Tesla. Now, there will be no sign of your physicality if we decide to get rid of you. As I said, one of the reasons that Mr. Delannoy, Federal Police of Belgium, is shitting in his pants, is trying to get hold of me the best he can, is because this is what I explained to the police force of Belgium 6 years ago in their offices. If I have a physicality, they're carrying guns because I was in the federal office with all the policemen. If I use a gun or a knife, there is bits of you left. If I use plasmatic magnetic field, the only way I know you existed is by submatters maybe in the clay of the wall. There'll be no sign of you left. In the middle of Africa. Man has one choice, and that's to understand that you breathe. You have lungs. And through lungs, we control everything we want to do for you to come into understanding. Stop making wars, stop making killing machines, stop using religion to make money. There are no religious banks in the world, and beyond this planet, there are no religions. We don't have Martians with a Catholic religion, and when you go out, you cannot convert any Martians to be a Christian, Muslim, Sunni, Shia, Catholic, or Protestant, or Buddhist. Again, like money, is a man-made thing. Because you got to stay straight. Die shall not steal. You see it in your reactors. One reactor goes, the other one gives till they're all in balance. We've seen it in the lab. You've seen it yourself. As I said, today is the end of every religion man has created, except one religion, peace and not to steal. And the term of Christ, Muhammad, Buddha, and the rest has come to an end. Now you might understand why I'm on exile and why in Italy. We have dispersed the knowledge to be the cause of the peace. Not on this planet, because if you take you as animals outside, you behave the same outside, then you create conflict outside this planet, and that shall not be. This is the reason why, you understand, it wasn't my weakness to go to see the Pope, but out of my strength. A father always is generous to his son and to his children. We pay arrogance with love, and we pay torture with pleasure of man, not understanding what is done. The military application of this technology is 100,000 times, million times worse than any nuclear weapon you have ever created. You have not even understood the plasma technology. The energy within one plasma is enough to annihilate the whole of the planet Earth, if we know how to use it, and we know it. World peace is the cornerstone of our jobs, and we achieve it. Now we showed you your weakness. Now try to strengthen it, because you can't, unless you stop breathing. If you can live without breathing, then you can escape our what we call wish, and our wish is our command. Maybe now you understand what Keshe Foundation is for and is set up. And as I always said from the beginning, we are not becoming another cult, another religion. We become a way of living. Take what you need at the time you need, equal to what you need, and no more. So, those who thought they are very strong, your life lasts as long as you can breathe, and with what you breathe, we can dictate your emotions and your living. You change it or we change it for you. I was explaining to the knowledge seekers today why we see so much murder, killing and animosity and war in Middle East. Look at the diet and the air breathed in that area, and what fans the oxygen and energy in that area. Look at the dates and the leaf and the structure of the leaf of a palm tree. You don't need to know more. You understood what one side of the leaf to the other side can cause the absorption of CO2. Then you understand the effect of the plants in this area, which breed animosity. You think we cannot extend the knowledge further to create a man to fall all over the place with nothing? I have shown you the pieces of knowledge of the universe in pieces, because you are man and you are feeble, you don't understand. I have a term and I have a time, and if it's not met, the world peace, and by scientific and world national securities, being Americans and the rest, do not understand this, in a very short time we will deliver such a punch that you will understand it by being punch drunk. Out of your own emotions and nothing else. I have no fear of this physical life. You try to bomb me in my car, you try to blow me up, you try to come and kill me, you try to poison me. I finish my term when it's my time, when I achieve peace. Does not matter what the heck you do. My call goes again to the people who are planning to blow my car very soon. We know who you are, we know what you're doing, and we are aware of it. It will not work, because it's not the time. This is a warning to the national security within the Belgium office. Stop the game. I leave when I'm ready, when I've done my job. Let me explain to you something very simple. Coming of Dr. Elia was a gift, because the soul was allocated and dedicated to bring this job out. We started with a bone. then with the muscle tissue, then with the heart and the brain, to show how feeble you as creatures are. I have to be in the body of the man for the man to listen. Otherwise I become another light, and the light does not work. The time is not to punish. Punishment has never worked with a man. But we tell you something very simple. You need air to breathe, and through air we control everything you want to do. American national security and the rest, and the Iranians and the Chinese who are listening, directly to all of you. Plan a world peace immediately, or we show the power of the technology that we force you, that people will not stand any more torture, killing, or any shape, in any color, race, or religion. And those who carry on with beheading a woman while they are raping her because it's of the different caste or religion, we'll show you what it can be done. We can bring you down to your knees. You hear our voice as a voice, or you hear us, our feelings and our instructions through the way we know how to deliver to all of you. Any questions?
I had a question, Mr. Kesh, regarding the carbon particles in the atmosphere of Earth that are created by the burning of various fuels primarily. For me, those kind of particles and vapors from vehicles and other sources of pollution are extremely mood debilitating. They affect my mood and my digestive system and my whole body. And I'm extrapolating that I'm especially sensitive, but there are many people that are quite sensitive, and others get affected in some way or another. Is that part of the atmosphere that you're speaking of? Is that an atmosphere that humans need to take care of before we can carry on with transforming into a new state or new emotional in order for us to have unity, do we have to have good air?
You see, it's not the air. The air you breathe has to transfer according to the environment your lung creates. You've seen it. You change a copper plate to a zinc, you get different material. Now the air you breathe has to change, crossing the liquid of the water of the lung to convert it into a gas. And if it's not tuned to that, it causes the lack of energy to your brain, which is needed through your red blood cells. You deliver different magnetic fields, which has come from another part of the body. So that changes behavior. Doesn't matter, you go with sugar. You see children, they take sugar, they take Coca-Cola, and they run like a rabbit. Because 12 spoons of sugar energy has to go somewhere. It's the same with the air. You're short of, the energy has to come from somewhere. The heartbeat changes to accommodate the change. The lung beat changes to accommodate change. The lymph changes. Let me explain to you something, you brought this up. This is going to be announced by Keshe Foundation today. Hopefully the webmaster can load it today. From today, we are accepting 1,000, any cancer which we see right, with the knowledge which was dispersed today, if you understood it, to reverse any cancer around the world. The systems will be produced here in Italy. I've spoken, I've arranged it yesterday. So, if you have a cancer, and no one has managed to process it out, come to us, we'll show you if it can be done. You don't need to do much. And for that, we used to charge 30,000 euro for a cancer course. We reduced it to 5,000 to stop the people who think it's their right to be there. Not financial position, but to allow the doctors and the rest and the development and the materials to be made and to be delivered. So if you have a cancer from today, come to us. Send the email to health@Keshe Foundation. As you know, you have it. You can post it. healthkf@gmail.com. Dr. Elia will give it to you. You fill in the forms, you make the appropriate things which is need to be done. We accept cancer, any cancer, anywhere in the world. Because now, with today's talk, you understand your cancer is controlled to your lymph and to your thymus. And this is what I've said for a long time. We have a knowledge to stop any cancer. Now we deliver our word. So go to Keshe Foundation, send the email to healthkf@gmail.com. You receive documents from Dr. Elia because it's nothing to do with the foundation. This is to do with the doctors handling it, and it goes through the Keshe Foundation, most probably Malta, as a health center, and you will receive the system. And the doctors will monitor it and they report it back to you in what success has been. The plan is for 1,000 cases. If we have to, we go to 10,000 cases. But if you know anybody who's got a cancer in any shape or form, as long as there is no chemotherapy done, we are there to change, and we show how we're going to change it. And through the work of thymus, because it's adjusted, it will change your emotion the same as it changes the heart. If I want to change 4 pieces, the operation of gravitational magnetic top core and the 3 base, I can inject enough into the plasma of the center, the pyramid point, for them to change. So we only need 2 systems to deliver the way what we know, and we can reverse any cancer of the human being. This has been the biggest fear of man, cancer. Now we gave you the solution. We've done it before. It's even the breast of a woman which the tumor has been taken out is in the hospital in Holland, frozen for past 3 years. To show our power and the knowledge. Now it's time to disperse the knowledge, and we do it. And this is the way it's going to be done.
Mr. Keshe, could you tell us if there's any news or developments in the way of energy-producing devices that might help replace some of our devices on Earth? I know some people are experimenting with various things.
Yes. We went through delivering the physical system as the power generators. And we found governments in background are pressurizing people who are trying to build the systems for us. That's why we put the reactors in. In the coming days, I show you how to create energy as much as you like in your homes. You don't need the Keshe Foundation anymore. But goes with the same ethos. We show you, you pay the foundation what you think is right for us to be able to research and develop more for you in a physical level. I can show you the light and I can warm this place up, but I can't reach 7 billion of you. This is the way it works. If you don't understand the way it works, it's a strange word, but it's the human habit. We helped, we developed, we made everything ready, the presentation was done with Ebola. And in the past 48 hours, now the government's got their hands on it. We've got to wait if they give us the information what they achieved. No problem. If I do not get response from the universities or because don't forget, in the presentation done in the presidential palace last week, scientists from Harvard, professors were present. So already the American government knows there is a solution, possible solution for the Ebola. And if you do not get results, live, we show you how to do it, what to do it, that even the European borders, people who are fear of Ebola might come, they can start protecting themselves. We try to go through the proper, appropriate channels. If it doesn't work, we know all the shortcuts and we know the direct cuts. As I always said, they took too long to silence my technology as it was, which was not to be done. Everybody knows hundreds of thousands of these reactors and what you call it, CO2 units are being made and are getting made by people trying things. But as I said to the knowledge seekers today, stop looking at the physicality of it. Start looking in what it does in the structure of the totality. You have not understood, none of you ask a question, but today is what we call, how can I say, end of the old and the beginning of the new. We finish with religions. I thank all those called popes, all those called ayatollahs, all called mullahs, all called priests, all called rabbis, all called the high priests, for bringing man to the position of today. From today is our time and we take over to make sure it happens. I teach so much that the man in Africa will not depend on nothing but himself to live a peaceful life, and in his peace will be the rest of the man's peace. The term of all the prophets of the past as of today is finished. Because they could not deliver man to what we wanted. Now we do it ourselves the way it has to be done. From today is the end of every religion, way, path, statue man ever accepted. We breathe a new soul into the soul of the man through the air we breathe. And our wish is our command. And now, I especially waited till Dr. Belliat comes to the lung that we can deliver this message. This is the end of Christianity as of today, end of Muslim, Islam in any shape or form, Buddhist, statue worshippers. There's only one belief, and the belief of thou shall not steal. This is the rule of universe, and you don't need books to write on it. You shall not steal from yourself, you shall not steal from your soul, you shall not steal putting a hand in the pocket of somebody else. Because stealing takes energy and concentration and a lot of wasted thing. When you can take what you need and you give what you think somebody else needs, then it's a peaceful time, and the time of peace has started as of today. Let the Pope rise against us, and I show there will be no stone left of Vatican. Let the Muslims rise against me. I make sure the name of Muhammad will be washed from the face of every book. I have no fear, and we deliver. And we deliver the technology for you to do it. Keep respect of each other, and we keep the name of the prophets of God in the books forever to be, because they have served the humanity well. Blessed is his name, Muhammad, stays blessed his name, and be blessed his soul, the Christ will stay the Christ. It's you who decides where it's going to go from now on. And if you think it's not going to be, wait time, you will see. We came the soft way to reach and penetrate. We done enough penetration amongst the man to do the job. There won't be a holy light that one can see, it'll be a whole light that everybody can see. So, go back to reactors, go back to your nanomaterials, and start understanding what we gave you. We gave you the essence of the creation, energy, light, and everything you need to know, even food. There are no banana trees in space, and there are no cows on the moon. And in the universe, millions of creatures exist and live. So, we are very, very, very clear about what we are about to do. I call upon the world leaders, you take it as a joke, we bring you to your knees. You plan my killing, I wipe out your blood. That there will be nothing made of you, in your blood, in your gene, in your DNA, that might do such a thing again. You want peace in Middle East? I invited you to come here, and I told you how to stop this animal behavior which is happening now. You think I do not know? I had experience with the true Iranian revolution. We had the same animals in Iran. We've seen them how they do the killing. And through it, I know how to reach them. We saw the same slaughtering in Tehran 30 years ago. And now we see it with different names and religions in different places, not very far. So you breathe air, we know how to reach you and how to change you. Because by air we reach your soul, we reach your body, we reach your emotions, and then we change. And believe it or not, our reactor is still making 20, 30, 40 Tesla. What is your frequency and what Tesla reaches you? We can make it in this lab, and our wish is our command. I am the worst nightmare man ever could imagine. Now we delivered what we're going to do. Your worst nightmare is to accept peace. And if it's too much, we make sure it's done. Any questions?
So this also means that you could, it's not necessarily just a cancer that we can mitigate with the same type of technology in terms of the air. Is that correct, Mr. Kesh? It's just a different.
Yes.
It's just
Any
a different.
diseases. Elia has got a list of 40 diseases to be published by the Keshe Foundation Health. We've been through it when she was here, so this is not something we just talk about today. Dr. Elia has a full list of what we need, the conditions, and the list of the diseases which we are going through. And I think it's been already passed by Wolf, I think, for correction. So today is not something we just thought that happened. I knew today will be the day we delivered, now we received it. People from Malta asked us, can we know what's the condition that we can be prepared for it? Now you know what's about to come to Malta. Any disease, Dr. Elia, please post this on the Keshe Health Foundation site, and we do it on the Keshe Foundation. Any disease can bother man, more or less, can be done if it's not to do with the physical, if it's connected with the emotion. If you got a bullet in your arm, I cannot do anything with it because it's a foreign body. Even that, you can reject it. This is well planned, well organized, and now we delivered. And my message goes again to the world leaders. Accept the peace terms, or there will be no sign of any world leaders. As has been said, no man from today will fight to have the seat of the kingship, because it'll be so hard to be just and correct and be a king. Any disease, you don't need me. Understand. I tell you what to do. You made these small core reactors. Put the blood or the cell of the disease part. What do you call it? Biopsy. Or a blood of drop of blood. Measure is gravitational magnetic field of the part which is good and the part which is diseased. Make a system, a copy, put it on the thymus. And make a copy, put it on the lymph circulation on the upper arm. There'll be no cancer within 2 hours. We've done it. There's a gentleman who listens, and we had his wife for this trial. And she said, I have a love and hate relationship with this system. The minute I put it on, within 2 hours, lumps of cancer falls off my body. But the wounds bleed me to death. When you don't have external cancer, internally it's the same. But if you do it too rapid, then body accepts another condition. So it has to be done in the slow terms over 30 to 60 days. This has all been done. This is what the papers are done with Dr. I think Wolf has approved it. The spelling, as we agreed, will be done with you last night or the night before. Is in hand of the webmaster. If it's not released now, it'll be released within the next 24 hours. And Dr. Elia, how many, is it about 40 diseases we put on the list? Is she there? Hello?
Should be there.
Can't hear your microphone, Elia.
Yeah, sir,
There we
40.
go.
Yeah,
It is
40, but
40.
actually, yeah, but actually we have to put eyes disease. We just forgot, so there will be more than 40.
40. Do you want to read them, at least part of them, if you got it in front of you?
Yeah, I just have to open the file. Just 1 second. We'll be mute to not listen, and then we'll open, okay?
Okay, no problem. So you see, today is not by accident. You don't bring the end of term of the Prophet of God in one go just out of your sleep. We planned it, and now we show how we do it. Simply through your breath. This is what you cannot exist within few seconds if you lose it. Through the same breath, this is a breath of life to humanity.
This is the breath of God, then.
The Creator.
There is an old saying
Can I read?
Yes.
There is an old saying that breath is essence.
So now pranayama have new meaning, no?
More or less. Can you read out the list?
Yes. So I started morbus Crohn, Xeroderma pigmentosum. This is children of the night. Alzheimer disease, Parkinson, MS, pre-wheelchair conditions only. MS, yes, ALS, pre-wheelchair conditions only. Cancer, status post-chemotherapy, tumors, COPD, paralysis, spasm of smooth and striated muscles, epilepsy, autism, ADD, ADHD, cerebral paralysis in children, thrombosis, infertility, amputation, phantom pain, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, leukemia, myelodysplastic syndrome, anemia, loss of smell and or taste, sport injuries, improving of sport performance, congenital diseases, coma, rehabilitation of chronic diseases and coma, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, allergies, muscles atrophy, thyroid gland diseases, eyes diseases, injuries of spine and back pain, addictions. That's 40. That's it.
So
At the
if you
moment.
fall in any of those and more we look at through simple system which we developed, we bring all to the same.
I think those 40 that you just listed are the majority of what people suffer from right now, is it not, Elia?
In a way,
Yeah, in the same
even
way, it is like that.
in a way, even if you suffer from old age disease, you can recuperate. You don't need to die in pain. You can die a good life with the support of the technology, with the support of a small system, that you don't suffer because you got old. Old age should be in 200-300 years, not in 40 and 50s and bend back. The technology has the knowledge, we have the knowledge, we've done it before in Belgium. Even if you are bent and you cannot even stand up, we can make you to walk straight and die and live a decent life. Change of physicality is inevitable, but to have a pleasurable life is the most important thing. So we had Dr. Ivan Michel can tell you. We done this with the people who could not even walk or could not even do anything. Now they are building and painting and doing everything else. People who could not write, they write their signatures and send it to the bank. You got to realize one thing. We lived the life of exile for past more or less since 2004. Now is the time for exiles, for the world leaders and religious leaders who do not follow us. World peace. Get your followers to do one thing, get your nationals to do one thing. Bring world peace, arrange for disarmament totally, use the arm factories for peace, or very simply we can change the situation. Unfortunately, I have a system which can deliver anything to any man. Vince understood one thing, I don't know if he understood it or not, and he rephrased it 3 or 4 times in a communication we had recently. He kept on saying, is this pulse? Yes, it is pulse. The human body is made of pulse, because with pulse you have a heartbeat and you have a lung beat. And we know the pulse for everything. Once understood just on the physical term, but you understand, we have the pulse of the man in our hand. It's just for us when to push and what to push. If you do it yourselves, it's easier for us than doing it for you, because you might mutate again and then we have to put you in the right position again. This was done 28,000 years ago, man never learned. We did it 6,000 years ago, man didn't learn. Now we do it this time complete. I always told you, this is the 3rd time and the last time. This is how I knew what's going to be said today. This is why you find pyramids in different parts of the world, more or less built on the same basis. This is a knowledge, a pyramid which we have in the lab, and it's being given the same technology, the same knowledge for world peace to man 3 times. This time you don't have a choice. You know exactly what to do with it, because you all are intellect enough to do it. And secondly, you don't have enough time. The time of the end of this planet is very close. And as I say, we only need 5% of the men who are correct. The other 95% can go in. Now is the fight, who's the 5%? I'm going to serve better, I'm going to be a better man to be part of the 5%, or I want to increase the 5% to 10% and be one of them. Killing in the name of God is finished as of today. You kill, we let you do what you like to do, but in the way we take the soul from you. And if we need, we change your soul. It is very, very easy. You take it as a voice, as a man who doesn't know what to do, but our wish is our command and we deliver it. You have seen how position has changed in so many ways in past 2 or 3 years since we start releasing information. There is no problem. You still build your rockets, and then you send a man to me last Saturday, say, I have to destroy 12,000 rockets a year. Can you tell me what's the best way that I can have the material for it? I said, very thank you. Tell to your government, put them in the ship and send them to the sun. Then you harm nobody. So, it's very clear from today. We spoke about the lung, and through lung we control your heart and your brain and your emotion and physicality. What would you like me to breathe in the air you breathe? The fire of death or the pleasure of existence? You choose. Because you are the one who breathes it. I just provide the fire. I will not commit crime, but you can kill yourself. The way you wish to die with ILS and you kill yourself, that's your right. The same fire, somebody else gets warm and cooks with it and pleasures with it. It's your mentality who decides what this fire is going to do to you. As I said, the term of Christianity, the term of Islam, the term of Judaism, the term of every religious statue man ever worshipped as of today is finished. And it's going to be one in its totality, and that's thou shalt not steal. Then you find out the other 9, 10, 11 commandments are related to it. Adultery is a stealing. Killing is a stealing a life. Thou shalt not kill, because it's stealing. Look at all the 12 commandments. All come back to one. And now, instead of going it in 12 different ways, we go to one and the original one. Thou shalt not steal. Every time you want to think, you look at another beautiful one, you want to possess it. Is it mine? Am I committed to somebody else? I steal from the one I'm committed, so you start living the path. You want to put your hands in somebody's pocket, you do. Say, is it my right to do it, or can I ask for it? They can give me what I like. Physical change of life, we won't change tomorrow morning in the markets, people doing different things. But the way of living, it'll be there in time, and a very, very short time. Any questions?
We should probably end things fairly soon. So one last question from Sandor, which is how to measure the magnetic fields of a blood sample or a cell's sample.
You're still entangled in physicality. Why don't you ask, how can I measure my emotion that I don't feel wrong? Then you become a true being. You're still entangled in your physicality. How can I measure my blood? Change your point. You'll understand. You'll change the blood. You will change because you understand the change of emotions. Next question. A lot of silence, a lot of soul searching.
That was
Now
some pretty big
we
things
gotta
you
know
brought
what we
up
do.
there.
Yes, it's not easy to end 5,000 years of one man's orders on life. Or another 2,000 and something, another 1,400, and with the rest, with the Russians and the rest. That was it. They were promised a time when there will come the time of peace. Now it's here. It's you who can reject it, and the one who rejected it because they find a way to still carry on with their abuse. The man who justifies, I still have to make rockets and bombs because they're fighting in Middle East, is the guy who fires the bomb. This is why I said you don't make a bomb, because when you don't make it, it will not be used. Then they find a solution for it. Now, the punishment is by self, not by others. Give freely. If they need it, they'll be elevated. Just not because you think it's not to your level, because you want them to be your way, they'll change. It's like the man who love a blonde and they marry a black hair and they do everything to hurt her to become blonde. Because then it fits them what they want. Why don't you go and find a blonde from the beginning, that you don't put yourself through the torture to make a black a blonde? Why do you buy a dog when you love a cat? And put yourself to a torture, and you don't give the love if you had a dog, if you had a cat. It's you measure yourself. Think what I do is right. I walk down the street and I say, God, please never let me find a money. I don't want to find money on the streets. And people go and look for it. You know, in Africa, they said the Europe is paved with gold. You can pick up money. You can pick up money anywhere on the floor. I was walking with my dog yesterday, and I thought, this is so hard. You got to look in the sky, but you can't. I hope I don't find money on the floor. Because what I find, it could be the last €5 in the pocket of the man, his food, and he can suffer hunger, and I don't want to be part of it. This is the way to live. Then you understand if you are right or wrong. At the beginning it's very hard, and then it becomes part of your life. And then you find peace. When you find your peace, if the guy attacks you, says, you want money, take it. Whatever you need, I'll take the rest home. He'll be ashamed to rob you. I've done this so many times. You want, you take what you need, leave the rest. I have no problem with it. My closest friends were my biggest enemies. Because when they came to become enemy, I gave them more till they were happy. Then they didn't want it. Then they became my way of living and thinking. Being in business, being in everything else. And I never fight. Fighting, when a man has to fight for something, is already lost. I always tell this to my children. When you have to fight for a love, you already lost the love. That you don't own it, you want to possess it. When you lost a home, it means it was not there for you to be. We are on exile in Italy. We lost our home in Belgium. But it had a reason. Because now we found the home as the whole planet. In Belgium, they kept us tied up to one room. Now we share knowledge freely with the rest of the world. So my home is the whole of the earth. I don't have a place. You have to judge your own behavior and not to be judged by others, and do not judge others for what they've done. And always give them freely. I give freely to King of Belgium. One day the man comes to his senses, but in a way he cannot do, because that'll be the end of the kingdom in Europe. But it's finished. We know, what's his name, Klaus, has started making guns of gold, and the guy showed us yesterday. So the gold has no more value. Now we're going to find another metal in the space which has a value. We can rub the others off it. So we leave it to that, and we know today is the day which is the end of one cycle of man, for a new one to join the rest of the universal community. And we promise this day will be here, and is here today. Thank you very much for your times.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Elia.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, that's the end of this 6th health workshop. Everybody can take a deep breath now. Let me get the last shot here of the Keshe Foundation logo, and that email address for the health@kf.gmail.
The net of the artery and vein just lying inside of that bed, and all the air is around, and they exchange easily that gases CO2 and oxygen. Then the next slide. Next slide is give you breathing. The first one picture on the left is showing